Okay guys, so this is the diamaxion globe that we had a discussion about, or a presentation on, when we talked about how the continents kind of relate to each other. This was Buckminster Fuller's sort of invention of a way of looking at the Earth in a way where the continents didn't have as much distortion as you got away from a center point. Okay? So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to actually build a little isocohedron, I think is what the term was, some big fancy word. But we got to cut this thing out first, and then all of these little dashed lines are fold lines. So first thing I'm going to do is cut this rascal out. So that's going to take a second in and of itself, a little bit of time. You know, I'm going to freehand cut it. I do not want you guys to freehand cut it for the purposes of keeping the video brief. So please use a straight edge when you're cutting the edges. I'm going to do it quickly so that we're not sitting here staring at me while I do all of that. It could take a very long time. Not a very long time, but it'll take a while. And I'm pretty good at cutting straight. I've been doing this for a while. Turn it this way now, cut the other way. So it's important that when you do cut it that you try to be as precise as you can, because the mistakes will be additive if you keep losing a little bit here, losing a little bit there. Okay, so there is the product of cutting the thing out. Okay, and again, one of the things that I want you guys to understand is that the North Pole is right here, kind of in the center of this thing. Okay, so your task is going to be to crease these things on those dashed lines. And what I would do in building this is I would start by just putting a nice, firm, solid crease down every one of the lines that you can then open back up. Okay. Once the paper gets creased, it has a memory of being bent there, and even if you flatten it back out like I'm doing here, it'll still fold right back up, whereas this will not. Okay? So what you want to do is crease along each of those lines, okay, until you can start to put this thing together. All right, now it's a little bit tricky putting together since it's made out of flimsy paper. All right, I'm going to find my tape. Hopefully I have some here. Are any of you familiar with the diamaxion globe before last week? Nobody's ever seen it? One person? Okay. Were any of you familiar with Buckminster Fuller before last week? No? Bucky Fuller had massive influence on this world. Okay, he was both an architect and an engineer. So once you start doing that, you'll see that you can start to bring these edges together. All right. Simple way to kind of construct this thing might be to just take a short piece of tape and kind of pre-lay it out on an edge. And it'll be a little bit tricky as you start to close the ball up, but you can sort of fold it over like that. All right, and it'll start to hold its shape. Okay, lots of little edges, so you'll have to work at it to kind of get the whole thing to kind of enclose. And as it gets to the end, it'll get trickier because you'll be kind of like putting tape on like loose surfaces. But a lot of them you'll be able to do just like I've shown you right there. All right, any questions about that? Okay, so this is going to be one of your homework assignments for next week, right? You're going to be asked to take the globe and kind of build the thing. All right, great.